I've always been interested as to what events, choices, and decisions put people on the path of their destiny. I'm amazed at what the human spirit can endure and how resilient people can be. And I want to share those stories with you. So, hit the subscribe button to be notified when each new episode appears. And now, on to this week's episode. Hey, beautiful souls. Thanks for joining me. I don't know why I thought of this story, but I just thought I would share it with you because it is one of the funniest things I've ever heard. And, just one of the funniest memories I have. I don't know why I thought about this. It's one of those stream of consciousness things, when you think of one thing, which just goes into another and bleeds into another, and you just, and it got me thinking about how people don't tell stories anymore, or kind of, story jokes. I'm a millennial, and our generation really doesn't tell those kind of jokes anymore. My parents' generation did, and they're like the greatest generation. Boomers. They told those kind of jokes. And I noticed that generation were really good at telling stories and telling jokes, and they just had a lot of practice. I think because people just sat around and talked to family members and sat and talked to friends, and they polished those social skills that we don't really have. We're kind of rusty, especially with the pandemic, and not being around people. Those social skills have gotten a little rusty. But and it just reminded me of a time when people would share stories, share jokes, and you need to check out this website called, I think it's on YouTube, and it's called Old Jews Telling Jokes. And, it's that generation telling jokes, and it's just what it is. But it's that generation and that Jewish, Yiddish humor, and you'll see what I'm talking about. And it is so funny. Oh my gosh. But it reminds me of when I used to work in a nursing home, and that was back in the late 80s. And or late 80s, early 90s. And I tell kids that if they ever want to learn history, that they should go to a nursing home, because they will learn things that aren't in books. They will be told things. They will be so surprised by the things that they will learn, and they'll be surprised by who tells them these things. You'll see, these senior citizens, the residents, 70s, 80s, 90s, in their 90s. And they'll be telling you things about, what they did when they were younger. And all of a sudden you'll see them in a new light. You'll see them like, oh, that's right. Yeah, you were young. And they really enjoy telling you stories. And think about it. They're in a nursing home. Maybe that's not the correct, is that politically correct to call it a nursing home nowadays? I don't know. But, it's got to be lonely there. And so when you go there, just say hi, just talk to them. And you'll be very surprised by what they will tell you and the lives that they've led. And I really learned a lot by working at the nursing home. I heard stories about World War II. I knew a man who was Swedish, I take that back, Norwegian royalty, who played the piano. He was like a concert pianist. I heard stories of women, one woman told me about, how she and her husband had a hard time having kids and how they adopted their son. Another gentleman when I would serve his table, because I waitressed. I was a dietary worker. Whenever I would serve his table, he would leave me like 50 cent tip. And, I would find it on the table when I go clean the table off. And I say to the other workers, does he leave you a tip like that? They're not supposed to. For some reason he did, and he would never tell me why. But some of the other, workers, like my boss said, you probably remind him of somebody. You might remind him of a daughter, of an old girlfriend, maybe of his wife, and so that's what he does. So it was really cute. So that is just the best place to just sit and talk and learn and gain new perspectives and just bring joy to people's lives, just go in there and say, I'd like to volunteer. What can I do? Can I help out with bingo? Or, and they just, and especially, if you bring little kids, they loved when someone would bring, like, a toddler, and they're learning how to walk. Oh my goodness. These ladies, their eyes would just light up. And, this story, oh my God. Oh my gosh, the stories. Okay, so, at this nursing home, you had the residents in assisted living, and then you had those in the infirmary, and there were 3 floors in the infirmary, and a couple of my friends were working one day, and they were in the activities department, and so they had gone upstairs to one of the on one of the infirmary floors, and they were talking to the ladies that were sitting in the solarium. And my friend Lisa says, hey ladies, how you doing? And they said, fine, how are you? What's new? And she says, I'm engaged. I'm getting married. Oh, honey, that's wonderful. Congratulations. They want to see her ring, and she's showing them. And she says, well, I have to get married. And they're looking at her, and she says, well, yeah, I'm pregnant. I have to get married. And so they just all sit there, oh. And there was one lady at the table named Florence. And Florence is sitting there, and she's just staring, just staring out in space. She's hard of hearing. She can't see well. And my friend says, Florence, did you hear? I'm going to get married. I'm getting married. And Florence says, I'm 101 years old and I'm still a virgin. My friend's mouth dropped. She says, oh. And Florence says, boy, did I miss out on something. And my friend says, no, you didn't. Oh my gosh, that is one of my favorite stories. Oh my gosh. One night I went out with a group of gay women, and it was so funny. We're all talking. And I don't even know how I got on this subject. Don't know. See, it's another thing. How did I get on this? How did I get on these stories? And so I just started telling this story. And in the middle of the story, I realized who my audience was. and boy, did they love that story. They're like, yeah, right. She didn't miss anything. Oh my God. But it is one of my favorite stories, and I just thought I had to share that with you. Oh, goodness. So, go check out Old Jews Telling Jokes. It's on YouTube. They will, put a link in the show notes. And take care, and thank you for listening. And have a great week. Ciao. If you're hearing this message, you've listened to our new episode all the way through. And thanks a bunch. If you enjoyed this episode and you'd like to help support the podcast, please share it with your friends, post about it on social media, or leave a rating and review wherever you listen to your podcasts. And subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. To catch all the latest from me, you can follow me on Instagram at the Holistic Life Coach Podcast and at the Holistic Life Coach Podcast on Facebook. Thanks again. Until next time, beautiful souls.